Medicare doesn't pay for it. Medicare doesn't pay for hospitals.
No, Medicare actually is responsible for.
Is that for hospitals?
Yeah, right.
Just an interview is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we're thanking you, Rael, for that beautiful double Native American flute. Wow, isn't that unusual and beautiful? Thank you so much for coming. Just to follow up with that, I'd love for you to stand with me.
Yeah.
And welcome sacred to this space. Awaken in yourself what that flute was beginning to awaken, which is that there's a fire, there's a flame within you, there's a touchstone of the divine within you. And as we come here, we're ignited because we're joining with one another and our flame grows even more brightly. So there's two things that I'd like you to do with me. One is a mudra. You know what mudras are. You do them with your hands in the Hindu and Buddhist tradition. And so it's like this. See, you take your ring finger and you put your thumb over top of it, and you hold your hands like this. You hold them down. And then you feel yourself relax and come down into your hips and legs. And feel this current of energy moving through you. Let's say together, I bow to the energy of the sun. I bow to the energy of the sun. I am the essence of the sun. I am the essence of the sun. And let's take 3 deep breaths and do, as we let out our breath, do an Om together with this. Position so that you can feel the stretch in your heart area. And you're welcoming the radiant light of the sun and the radiance in your own heart. And so you put your head back a little bit, and in your own way right now, just lift up yourself in praise and in welcome of the divine in our midst here today. Spirit, we welcome you. We join our hearts together, and our hearts with your great heart. Come and be with us here. Bless our gathering. May we go away healed and better for having been here. Aho. Amen. And now turn to one another and just give a warm handshake and a quick hello. Today our theme is about community, so it's good just to begin with feeling that sense of community, seeing people that you know and are so happy to see, and those that you don't know and are happy to see. How many are here for the first time? Anybody? Welcome. So glad you're here. We want to be able to talk with you afterwards. We have refreshments afterwards, and stay after so we can get to know you, okay? We have at the beginning getting our business out of the way, so we have some announcements. Today we have a really important announcement that's about one of our members, Anna Delafosse. You know Anna. Here's a picture of her. And she's been going through some pretty severe autoimmune disease. And you know how Medicaid is, it only pays for just so much. So today there's a big fundraiser up at the Green Springs Inn from 2 to 5. There's going to be an art auction and a reception for her. So if you can go, please go. And I asked Joan, who's her good friend, just to say a couple words about Anna to make her present to you.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Anna. There was an article written in the paper a couple days ago by John Darling, which was beautiful. And she grew up in Argentina. She was a race car driver. She was a mechanic, worked for Juan Fangio, the famous world-class Formula One racer. And then she came to Ashland and she ran the 76 station out of the South End with her husband. And she lost that business. In the meantime, she's got, some illness and losing her home. And so the community's coming together. And Pam Marsh who's a city council woman, and she runs our Ashland Food Bank. She owns the Green Springs Inn, and she's sponsoring this event. So I hope you can all join us. And there's a flyer in the back and an envelope there if you'd like to donate. Or at People's Bank, there's also a donation there. So the community is really coming together to help on that. She's a wonderful person, very interesting person to talk to if you ever see her. One of the wise elders here at Unity, if you've ever wanted to talk to somebody really interesting, talk to Anna. She's a sweetheart, so thank you.
Thank you, Joan, so much. So back there's a flyer like this with an envelope by it. So especially if you can't go up there to the Green Springs, please leave a donation in the envelope. Take that. Yeah. I wanted to remind you that next week is one of those, there's a couple weeks out of the year that the Havara has an event all weekend, and so we can't be here. So we'll be at Jackson Wellsprings. And we like being there once in a while. We used to be there all the time because it's an open space in the community room there that has good energy, and we end up doing different kinds of rituals and always have a really unusual, rich time there. So I encourage you to come next week out to the Wellsprings. We're having our long-awaited prayer chaplains training coming up, and Donna, you wanted to say something about that.
So we've had some sign-up sheets going around for a while. Kathy Mary is going to bring another one, so anyone who's still interested in learning to be a prayer chaplain, May 15th and May 16th is a Friday evening and a Saturday, and we're still working out the details. So what we're going to be doing is just please asking you to save that date, and please speak to a prayer chaplain. If a prayer chaplains can raise their hand, please speak to us after about what grace and what amazing experience that it has been. And we pray on Mondays from 5 to 6 in the back. If you haven't experienced that, all are welcome. It's a really powerful place to be. And I'll just end with, there's no place like home.
That's the way to be involved in our care team here. So it's people that get trained to be able to go out and minister to people that are sick or dying. So it's a great thing to be involved in. Marta is doing a wonderful workshop. I took the workshop and have a drum to prove it. And so Marta, would you like to say something about your workshop, that she's doing it through Unity and donating to Unity percentage of the proceeds?
You get to make one just like it. Well, not just like it. They are unique and different. Next Saturday, I have room for one more person. Actually, I have materials for one more person to come and make their own drum. It's going to be at my house, and I can give you information. I do have flyers in the back. I'd love for you to come. I call it giving voice to your soul, and you truly do. I've been doing this for more than 25 years, and I absolutely love it. My little kid comes out to play. I want you to come play too.
That's great. And Alan, is the men's group closed now, or is it going okay?
No, we're still open to new members, so come and talk to me.
Thursday nights?
Every other, first
Every other
and third.
Thursday night.
First
So
and
you
third
can talk to
Thursday.
Alan if you're interested in the men's group. Great, okay. Those are our announcements. They're an important part of our community, and we also invite people to put flyers back on the back table back there of things that you're doing or sponsoring as well. We only announce things that are really sponsored through Unity. So one more important announcement that is sponsored through Unity is that tonight and next Sunday night are these films on the Bioneers Conference. You've heard me talk about the Bioneers through the years. It's such an important and fabulous event that goes on down in the Bay Area every October. And now we're lucky to have the plenary sessions on DVD. And last Sunday night they showed the first set of them, and 60 people came.
It was amazing.
It was amazing, yes. I was at the film festival, so I didn't go, but I'm going to go this week. This week and the following week, great DVDs are going to be shown and really good discussion afterwards. And Unity is co-sponsoring it, and so tonight we're supposed to bring the refreshments. So I don't want to do that all by myself. Would some of you be willing to come and to bring something, a snack item? And I'm going to take some tea from here, and so Barry, you would anybody else want to
I'll bring some
commit to it?
I'll bring some oranges.
Great, oranges.
Where is it?
It's at the Grange. Tolman Creek Road, okay?
What time?
So you don't have to say now, but think about it, and I need a few more of you to commit to bringing refreshments.
Time.
6 p.m. Okay? See you there. Great, okay. Well, the children. Francie is doing a Hindu thing with the kids. Last week I hear that it was a lot about Ganesha. And are there any other kids that would like to come forward? Oh, nice. The face of God is in front of us. So we like to sing the song Face of God to honor that the divine is so evident in the kids and is in each one of you. So let's sing the face of God to one another, to the children.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Have a wonderful time out there. Thank you.
So good morning. It's Sunday morning. We've made it through Passover and eaten all the matzah we could possibly handle. Made it through Easter and celebrated the joy of the rising energy of the spring. Now it feels like we're kind of getting into the heart of the season, where things are really budding and blossoming and fragrances are finding us wherever we go. And sorry for all the allergy sufferers like my husband, who doesn't love this time of year as much as I do. But what we all can connect to is that rising energy. Do you feel it now a little bit more? Like you want to clean things or get projects moving or shake off old patterns and old things. Well, we're going to sing a song that tells us that we can, in fact, do all of these new energies that we're feeling. We can, we can. And the song is called Yes We Can, Can. And can I just teach you the chorus? It's kind of fun and funny. So he says, I know we can make it. I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, I know we can. Yes we can. Why can't we if we want? Yes we can. That's a mouthful. Let's try it again. I know we can make it. I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, I know we can. Yes we can. Why can't we if we want it? Yes we can. Okay, so do your best. Just say can a lot of times. Stand up. And when we get to that part, the we can, right? Si se puede. Yes we can. The earth renews herself. We renew ourselves. We have the power as we connect together. All good folks to get together with one another. We got to iron out our problems, iron out our quarrels, try to live as brothers. We got to help each other move along without stepping on one another. And to respect the women of the world, remember, you all have mothers. We got to make this land a better land than the world in which we live in. We got to help each man be a better man. Here we go. I know we can make it. I know that we can. I can, no we can, yes we can. Why can't we if we wanna, yes we can. I know we can make it, know that we can, I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, I know we can, yes we can. Why can't we if we wanna, yes we can. We gotta take care of all the children, the little children of the world, 'cause they're our strongest hope for the future, the little bitty boys and girls, yes. I know we can make it, know that we can, I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, no we can, yes we can. Why can't we if we wanna, yes we can. I know we can make it, know that we can, I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, no we can, yes we can. Why can't we if we wanna, yes we can. I know we can make it, I know we can, I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, no we can, yes we can. Why can't we if we wanna, yes we can.
This springtime energy, you know, the sun is shining, we're all feeling the positive potential of that. I lived in Japan for a few years, you know, and over there, they celebrate spring in a big way every year, the cherry blossom festivals, but did you know about the bamboo shoot festival? No. The bamboo shoots pop up out of the ground, and they have such a force, and they grow so fast that the bamboo shoot is the Japanese symbol for resurrection in a way, for the new life energy. And so in the spring, they all gather bamboo shoots and cook them and eat them, feeling like that they will be taking in this new life energy of the spring. They eat the bamboo shoots. So in the spring, we are, you know, like you were hearing Cerise say, we are reminding ourselves that we are a part of nature. We're humans, we're a part of it all, and just like the sprouts and the blossoms and everything is renewing, we've got a mission in renewing too. So that song was talking about our human mission is to create and recreate societies, new social structures, cultures that work better, that are heading somewhere, that are evolving. We've got a mission as a human species. We're on that mission. And through the years, sometimes we can get discouraged, and so I say to everybody, you need a divination tool. Does everybody here have a divination tool? Like through the years, I've used the I Ching and tarot cards, and one time somebody taught me rock throwing. You read the rocks, the tea leaves. I don't know. What do you use for your divination? Pendulum. Everybody needs a divination tool. I really do believe, you know, that we need ways to tune in that we trust, and that we can then know and get messages and trust our intuition and our guidance. So last week I was sitting here, and Richard wasn't playing last week, and he came in and he came up to me and he brought me the I Ching book, and he said, I got guided to do a reading for Unity. And it was so perfect. I'm just going to read you a little part of it here. So it's the first hexagram is radiance, number 30, and it says, your situation is all about expanding light, warmth, and awareness, and it emphasizes that joining with and depending on one another is what speeds the light, the action of radiance. This is the adequate way to handle it. To be in accord with the times right now, you are told to congregate. Then the light will radiate. And then it turns into, you know how they turn into another hexagram? And it turns into number 29, which is the gorge, meaning like how the water falls over a waterfall in a gorge. And it says, you're going through dangerous times. You can't avoid it. So what you have to do is take risks without reserve. The action of the gorge is the adequate way to handle it. To be in accord with the times, you're told to venture, risk, and fall.
Exclamation point.
Exclamation point after it.
Slowly print. Venture and fall. Man, this whole thing. What? Heather wrote a song about it. She said, what would water do? What does water do? Boom! Jumps over, goes ventures, and it
Will
falls.
disappear in the air and come back later.
So it falls, falls till it is contained, till there's no leakage, till it finds bottom. Then it fills up. Water fills up the top. You're up at the top of the gorge. All good. It's all filled with water. It fills up the gorge.
Changes
You're
form.
committed.
Changes form as it needs to. You're committed. You're committed when you go down that gorge. You give yourself to falling, right? So our next song is a song that has given especially black people that have been oppressed and dominated by the old systems, hope and faith and courage to take risks like this. And it's an old gospel song an Appalachian gospel song called Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages, So there is something in the midst of all the change and all of the need to dissolve and transform that we can depend on. Sometimes we call it a fire within. Sometimes we call it the Rock of Ages. There's something, I know you can feel it deep inside of yourself. A secure place where you join with the divine. And so thanks so much, Cerise, for bringing us this wonderful song.
In this song, a mother is calling her children around her bedside as she's dying, passing over into the next realm. And the children are all very sad to see their mama going. But the mama says, I just seen the Rock of Ages, Jacob's ladder hanging down. I just crossed the river Jordan. Now, my son, I'm homeward bound. Think you can sing it? I've just seen the Rock of Ages, Jacob's ladder hanging down. I've just crossed the river of Jordan. Now, my son, I'm homeward bound. She can already tell that where she's going is a familiar place, a place of home. So let's sing that chorus together. I've just seen the Rock of Ages, Jacob's ladder hanging down. When
read a poem for us. See if you recognize where it's from. Yeah, that's Mike, please. Where everybody knows your name. Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. You want to go where people know people are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. So I see the heads nodding there.
Yeah.
So where is that from? Cheers. See, you're dating yourself.
Watch TV.
That was such a popular program. I think because of that sentiment, you know. You want to go where everybody knows your name. I didn't like the program all that much, but I love that song. I'm not sure, though, what it says about our society, that the beloved community that show was about was in a bar. And not only that, but it was actually a fictional bar that didn't really even exist, and that there were millions of Americans every week religiously watching this fictional show so that they could have that feeling of belonging. But that song really did get to a lot of us. Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. It's true, huh? Sometimes you just want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. Do you feel like that when you come here? I hope so. If we don't know your name, we want to, and we want to know a lot more than your name. We really want to know one another. There are many places that people can go to find beloved community. It's such a fundamental human need, isn't it? To be together, to be known, to be loved. We look for beloved communities in many places in our families. Some of us actually find it in our families. We look for it in school, our neighborhood, parties, gatherings, Sierra Club, Tuesday Farmers Market, the Elks Club, the Seroptimists, League of Women Voters, the YMCA. So, and probably one of the biggest ways nowadays is on Facebook or Google Hangouts, looking for the beloved community. And these are all fine communities. There's certainly nothing wrong with these groups, with these communities. Some of them are good and useful because they do offer us either relaxation or fun or a way to be in service to people who have similar interests. Many of these groups do very good things in our world. So the question I want to ask you is there any difference between being part of one of these groups, right, and being part of a spiritual community, a church? What sets a spiritual community apart from any of these other kinds of communities? Well, there's a book written by a theologian named Tom Owen called Growing a Beloved Community, and it has the subtitle, 12 Hallmarks of a Healthy Congregation. And the number one requirement for a healthy congregation, he says in the book, is that a spiritual community occupies holy ground. That made me think about the Occupy movement, you know, and what it was about, and that people went out and sat there in the town squares, and they were saying, you know, we exist, and we're occupying this ground. And so there's got to be some spiritual people that say we exist, and we are occupying this holy ground. So a church isn't a social club, it's not a hospital wing, it's not a political action center, and it's not even just a spiritual refuge. Although all of these might be disparate components of it, what a church really is a site for seeking the holy. A place where the holy can be touched and sought together. You know, one of the subjects that you have to study in seminary is called ecclesiology. It comes under the category of systematic theology. So they're trying to systematize how people come together in churches, because the word ecclesiology is the Greek derivative that means a convoking of people on a regular basis. I like that word convoke. I never really heard it before. Have you? Convoke. It's similar to invoke, right? And we often think that when we come together in spiritual service, we're invoking spirit. But to convoke means, I think it means that we come together as a powerful force to invoke together. So that's what an ecclesial body is. It also refers to people that are called out. And this reminds me of like getting a shamanic calling, that you're called out from your ordinary reality to a liminal space to do something different, to be in touch with the dream time, the numinous, the mystery. Well, in the recent past, in our ecclesiology, our history of churchness, I think a lot of us have gotten to the point where we got afraid of such terms as the sacred or the holy. And so we moved away from conventional religion and even maybe religious beliefs. But you know, there are sacred topics that are talked about in religious settings that are important to talk about. They aren't talked about everywhere. You don't really talk about them maybe when you are a part of the Elks Club, I don't know, or at the YMCA. Topics like, what is the purpose of our lives? Is there a greater purpose outside of our own wants and needs? Who are we really in relation to the soil and the sky and the animals and the plants? Are we deities in human form? How do we bring about justice in this world? How do we share our talents and treasures in a way that really helps one another? These are all sacred topics. And here is a place where we ponder them together. Now, I know that some of us, because of our very real experiences and observations of the excesses and abuses of religion, have come to hold a really low opinion of organized religion, right? I think especially people in Ashland have, gone on a journey, a lot of us, away from organized religion. I know I did. I didn't go to church for almost 20 years. Can you relate to that, that we have been damaged in certain ways, we've lost hope in certain ways of these ecclesial kind of comings together because there have been a lot of abuses. And yet, like Joan Borisenko is one of the authors I love, she writes that all of us, though, keep feeling this calling to creating a civilization with heart. A calling to have a civilization with heart. We long to belong to a civilization or a society that has a heart to it. There was an article that I found in the Bangor, Maine Daily News, written by a young woman, Erin, who says that she got really wounded by her Catholic Church upbringing. And so she calls herself spiritual but not religious. How many of you have called yourself that? Spiritual but not religious? Kind of, I have too. Yeah. And so she says that I don't know what that means, really, because it seems like all of my spiritual beliefs are unavoidably clothed in the religious trappings I've been exposed to, right? How do you really be spiritual without religion, really? So she said, it seems to mean for a lot of us in the 21st century that we believe in a higher power, but sometimes we'd rather go to brunch than to church. And it means that we want to go to heaven and manifest heaven on earth, and if there is a heaven, that is, and if there is a hell, we really want to avoid it. So she's trying to grapple with what this means to be spiritual and yet not religious. And those who, like Erin, define ourselves that way, they say actually make up 1/4 to maybe 45% of the United States population. those who have no formal relationship with a church, a synagogue, a temple, or a mosque, but are nonetheless engaged in spiritual seeking and do all sorts of forays into various religious traditions, maybe even pop into a church sometimes. But Robert G. Fuller, who's a professor of religious studies at Bardley University, is author of a book actually titled Spiritual but Not Religious. And he writes that this phrase probably does mean a lot of different things to different people, and there's a confusion because the words spiritual and religious are really quite synonymous. Both connote a belief in a higher power of some kind, but both also imply a desire to connect or enter into a more intimate relationship with this higher power. But having the freedom to think, explore, and grow at the same time. We found a place here at Unity where we're able to do that, where we're able to be both and, I think, to really be free to explore different rituals and practices and even daily moral behaviors and come into a deeper spirituality and at the same time draw on the religious traditions of the world. And we just have to face the fact that people tend to be spiritual by themselves, and we tend to define religion as coming together in a group. So it's a little tricky when we think about coming together in a group, and I always try to call it our spiritual gathering and shy away from saying it's a religion. I know not every religion has that problem or that challenge because a lot of religions go ahead and proclaim, we are the Buddhist religion, or we are the Catholic religion. But in Unity, we're a little shy about that. We don't want to say that we are a religion. But I want to face into the fact that if we partake in a coming together and a convoking like this, it's because we want to be brave enough to share and test our personal experiences of the holy in the company of others. If we come together in groups like this with our own personal spiritual experiences, we're going to bump up against other people. Our idiosyncrasies are going to show up. Our faults are going to come to light a little bit. So I think our culture has shied away from religion because of that too. Because people have gotten hurt and scared when we start to come together and really get to know one another. So it's very brave to come to church. It's very brave to convoke, to come together and invoke spirit with a group of people that you know and that you meet with over and over again.
Our rabbi used to call that spiritual sandpaper.
Spiritual sandpaper. So it's Sunday morning, and here you are, You are people who've chosen to come together like this. Something must be drawing you. I know you're independent thinking people, and I think you have a desire for the beloved community. And I think people through the centuries have had this. And yet it's gotten scary at times. So here at Unity in Ashland, we are forging through, we are creating a space where people can be themselves, where you can really be accepted as your whole self, whatever that means, with all that you've been through, with all that you go through in your families, that you can come here and find truly unconditional, loving community. The holy, a whole holy space is being created here. I myself was forced out of a religious tradition because of identifying as bisexual. And for several years after that, I told people that I was spiritual but not religious. When I finally found a welcoming and affirming spiritual home, it was here at Unity in Ashland. I went through various different Christian spiritual communities and didn't really find home. So when I first started coming here, I would often have tears in my eyes. And still sometimes when I talk about this, I can't help but crying. Because wherever our sense of aloneness comes from, to finally be seen and accepted and loved is a real tearjerker. I know that for many of us, upon finding the Unity community for the first time, that you have a similar experience of your fears dropping away and feeling like, wow, you mean I can be in a church and be myself? Here we can have differences in our theology. We can have differences in what we call God. We can have all kinds of, various searches and thoughts about things, and we still listen and love and accept each other. This is a community where that Cheers poem, I think, really applies. You can come here, and people want to know you. They want to know what you think. They don't want to just glom a religious belief system onto you or have you fit into something that is not right for you. So how we care for our own also comes out in that poem. This is the everybody knows your name part. Through the efforts of our prayer chaplains team and others in our congregation, we really try to know people when they're in stressful situations, and be there for them. And then we're also making great progress in discovering how to know one another in small groups. And we've been having these circles of 8 gatherings where we'll tell you more about that in just a moment, where people come together around spiritual topics to know one another. And I've had the Journey to Completion groups where we can do our deep shadow work together. And we have our youth education program. So there's lots of ways that we're seeking to do this everybody knows your name part. In a way, I think it's probably one of the most important parts of being a church is this part. Because it leads into how we treat each other. When we get to know each other and we start to have friction and rub up against each other, that's when the challenge of being a spiritual community, a religious, truly religious gathering comes up. Because when we disagree, when we're discussing things, and when we don't decide the same things, how do we treat each other? Do we treat each other with respect and kindness? If we're not able to take things personally and assume good intentions on the part of others, we can forgive each other and ourselves for our very human failings. And that's when we really do feel embraced by a beloved community. It's far too many places that are that kind of holy ground, right? Where you can really feel like you're human, you make mistakes, and you can be embraced and loved anyway. Human beings aren't meant to be alone, but so many of us have fled into various forms of being alone a lot of the time. It reminds me of the C.S. Lewis book called The Great Divorce. Have you ever read that book? It's a great allegory. It's about the great divorce between heaven and hell. And there's this bus stop where it's said that if you go there, you can go on this wild adventure, and they don't really know where it is, but some people get drawn to go there to this bus stop and get on this bus to go to this other place. But the people that are living in this zone are always fighting with each other, and they don't trust each other. So even while they're standing at the bus stop, they're pushing each other and competing to get up there first, or fighting with each other. And so not very many make it actually onto the bus. But when they actually, few of them get on the bus, they're taken through like a vortex, and they end up landing in heaven. But heaven is kind of hard to be in too, because everything's bright and light and sharp. And even when they get out and start walking on the grass, it hurts their feet. It's so sharp. And they start looking at each other, and they realize that they are ghosts, that they're very ghostly, and they have all these clothes to cover that up and everything, and makeup and everything, but they're really quite ephemeral. But they notice that the longer they stay there in this bright land, the more solid they become. But they all have brought with them these little demon characters that are sitting on their shoulders or hovering around them and whispering, this is a bad place, you do not want to be here. You better leave here because it's too scary, it's too sharp, it's too bright. You better get back on that bus and get back to that dull, darker zone back there where you're safer. So, human beings are not meant to be alone, and yet it's kind of scary to be in the beloved community, really, sometimes. But I think it's a lot less scary, really, than being in the other zone that C.S. Lewis was portraying that as hell, really, but he was also portraying it as the place where we currently live. And Buddhism says that too. It's like samsara sometimes, but it also can be nirvana at the same time. Heaven can be right here, and that's the whole idea of us being people who want to gather, to be in the light, to bring to light those things that are our obscurations, that are our ego attachments and personality defects, the things that are holding us back. We want to come and be in the light. And when we do this, we can accomplish some great purposes. We need to be together through it all, though, to be able to create the new community. We've got to be together in our despair, in our temptations, and admit them to each other. We've got to be together in our accomplishments and get support for those. We've got to be together in our hours of success and our hours of defeat. We need to be together when we're sick. We need to be together when we're afraid of dying and when we do die. We need to have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. So there's all kinds of reasons why humans need to come out of our aloneness and be together and be met. And where is that going to happen if it's not in spiritual community? That's why this unity, this beloved community that we've been honing here exists. It's why we must plant it and cultivate it and nurture it and grow it stronger and deeper and wider here in Ashland, because all our lives, we are in need of one another. And others are in need of us. We already know that this unity in Ashland, it's just a name that we've given for all these people that are drawn to be together in this vibration of love and light. And I believe that as we've come together in this committed convocation of invoking the holy, that it's like a lotus flower blossoming. It's like a bamboo shoot rising. There's something happening inside of us. There's this sacred work that's going on, my friends. So never doubt for a moment that what we're doing here is holy work on holy ground. I just want to say a couple more things as we lead into, I want to have a sharing time by those people that have been in the circles of 8 together. According to the Gospel of John, Jesus said, "In my Father's house there are many dwelling places." It can also be translated, there are many rooms. So there's this metaphor of a house with many rooms, and you've all heard that before. So I think that to be spiritual and not religious can be kind of like wandering in the corridors of a big house and never coming into one of the rooms. You get what I'm saying? Although you have to go with me about how I'm defining this, because I'm redefining religion as coming together around these purposes of the sacred and the holy. We tend to not want to call ourselves religious, but it's a committed coming together on a regular basis that makes it more like religion in a good way. So some of us have got to be brave enough to say, we're going to come into the rooms. We're going to come out of the corridors, and we're going to come into the rooms of this big house. If we just wander in the corridors and the hallways, we have a lot of freedom to move about and follow where our conscience leads. But the problem is with the hallways and the corridors is that they can be long and lonely and drafty, and there's no place to sit down. So we could say that this convoking, this coming together, in a committed way over and over again over time is where the tables and chairs and fireplaces are. And most importantly, where the other people are. So spirituality, it's good. And yet it can be defined in a very solo way, whereas religion is practiced in community in the rooms of the house. The rooms are where we're warmed by a community that gets to know us and care about us and looks for us when we're not there. So some of you that took part in the Circles of 8, I think you came into the room, came into a room, came into the rooms in people's houses. And you got to know one another. And I wonder if a few of you who were in those Circles of 8 would be willing to say a couple sentences about how that was for you, what it felt like, what it meant to you. So,
Should I come up?
sure, want to? Yeah. Can you turn this on, Alan?
Yeah. Try.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. I'll start by just describing really briefly what the Circles of 8 program is. And what it was that we had groups of 8 people who got together in somebody's home or restaurant or just planned to get together just 4 or 5 times. So this is not like a big commitment. And we had each time we had a book, one book for all 4 or how many meetings. And so the book sort of gave us a little bit of a way to spring, from the discussion. It wasn't like a book group. We didn't spend the whole time talking about the book, but the book gave us a way to connect and get together. But the real thing about it was the connections. And so I was thinking about how great it was for me, and I sort of experienced a paradox here at Unity that Norma kind of alluded to, and maybe other people feel it too, where we come together because we share this desire for a spiritual experience and for a little deeper knowing. We share, all of you here share values with me, or you wouldn't be here on this spectacular, sunny, bright spring morning. We got something big in common, but we come to Unity and sit quietly, and we listen to the music, and even in the social time in the back, I'm not real comfortable just walking up and talking to people. I don't make small talk real comfortably. So the Circles of 8 were a way to connect with people on a deeper level, and it meant a lot to me. And it was a lot of fun, too.
Cool. Thanks. So, Mary.
I'm going to parrot pretty much what Joe said. I joined thank you.
Well,
That's
just
okay.
hold it, I guess.
Just hold it. I joined a group graciously hosted by Bill and Francie Parr, and I chose to stay in the hallway for a long time. It's very comfortable there, and there was a lot going on there, actually. Very, very busy in that hallway. And I really did hesitate joining a group. I know that there were groups before, and I never joined. And the primary impetus for my joining this time was actually the book. That was chosen as the topic, and that was How Do You Pray? I just found that very intriguing and wanted to dig into that a little bit more with other people. And as Zoe also said, that was kind of a kickstart for the discussion. However, discussion went all over, and most importantly, we talked about one another and to one another very, very personally. And it really did deepen connection. And so bottom line is, yes, there are 7 other people that I now know much better, and after just 3 or 4 times. It doesn't take a big commitment, and that's one of the reasons I really held off, was I really feared that commitment. Who needs another commitment? But this was a valuable few sessions, and I really, really thank Unity for providing that opportunity. I recommend it.
Thanks, Mary. Shannon, you've got a word for us from Sherry Teague, who couldn't be here today, but she wrote something down, and he's having Shannon read it.
So Sherry emailed this to me. I will not be able to attend church this morning. I loved both the Circles of Eight I attended. Reading the books was interesting and a great way to start discussions. The best part was getting to know new friends. Even when I didn't read the book for that month, it wasn't a problem. There was always a great deal to share, and the food was good too. You meet over dinner, and she really liked it.
Thanks, Shannon. And thanks, Shannon, for taking on being one of the organizer facilitators of it this time. Marta, did you want to say something about your experience?
Ditto. When I came here from Montana, I knew no one. And so the Circles of Eight for me were an opportunity for me to get to know people in a deep way. Because when I was in Montana, that didn't happen. Do it. It's worth it. It's so worth it. Thank you.
So that's just a little glimpse into it. You've got to experience it to really feel it, you know. They just meet once a month for 4 months, so it's not a huge commitment, but it's a wonderful deep dive into getting to know one another. So I believe that we've got to be in these communities of solidarity. They're called from liberation theology. When people in Central and South America went through really challenging times, they came together in communities of solidarity around their faith. That's what got them through. And they forged through to creating new society, new cultural forms, because they came together in these, what they call communities of solidarity and resistance. There's a book by that title by Sharon Welch, who's a wonderful theologian. I believe that we can be these communities of solidarity with each other. And we're going to sing a song right now that helps us to feel it in our bodies. It's a great chant. It's standing like a tree. My roots go down. When you hear it, you might recognize it. Maybe you've sung it in other settings, but it reminds me of how the tall redwood trees, they do grow in clumps, yes, but they can look also like they're very alone. Yet if you really know what's going on, right, their roots go down, and they're all joining together in their root systems, and that's what holds them so that they can be so tall and so strong. There's these interconnected root systems. So it's a great symbol for us in community. How does this song go?
So you can stand up if you want to, and I'll teach you the movements that my 4-year-old taught me when they learned this song for the New Year of the Trees. And the words are, I'll tell you, standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, up comes the sun. Down come the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree. You can make your tree however you like. So let's try that. Sounds like this. Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun, down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots dug down. My branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun. Down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots dug down. My branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun. Down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, down up comes the sun, down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, up comes the sun, down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, up comes the sun, down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to standing like a tree, standing like a tree, standing like a tree.
While we take the offering now, Cerise is going to sing another beautiful song for us that comes from from that Appalachian tradition again, right? Is that true? No. Where does it come from? Tell where it comes from.
Yeah, this is sort of a beautiful
Go ahead, sir.
tradition of music. If you've heard of it, it's called the shape note tradition. And in early America, religious music was getting more and more complicated. When people came into their spiritual communities, into their churches, they couldn't follow along the music because they were reading out of these hymnals that were very complicated. So there was a movement made to bring sacred music back to everyday folks, and they called it shape note because the notes were diamonds, squares, circles, and flag shaped, and that told you how to sing along. To me, it seems more complicated than reading music, but it made it very simple, and so people could gather together and sing in 4-part harmonies these beautiful songs. And this one is called "Farewell, My Friends, I'm Bound for Canaan," or "Our Parting Friends."
When Cerise sang it for me, I really wanted her to do it for us because it gives you the feeling of that we're not together forever. It's precious, these times that we have right here and right now. And it reminded me of how many good friends have gone to the other side already that we've known deeply in this community, and people move, and so it's very precious that we have this community and this time together, and the song really gives you the feeling of that precious.
Farewell, my friends, I'm bound for Canaan. I'm traveling through this wilderness. Your company has been delightful. You who doth leave my mind distressed. I go away behind to leave you, perhaps never to meet again. But if we never have the pleasure, I hope we'll meet on Canaan's land. Farewell, my friends, I'm bound for Canaan. I'm traveling through this wilderness. Your company has been delightful. You doth leave my mind distressed. I go away behind to leave you,
bless our offering. We rub our hands together and pray, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. We're going to do something special and different with our closing circle today. I was at the Women's Seder this past week. And thanks. At the end, Cerise brought out the chuppah, and it's the one that she used at her wedding. And what it is 4 pillars with beautiful cloth hanging over it. And you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I imagine that with Hebrew people often having to move and not being able to sometimes maintain their temples or their sacred places because they were chased around by pogroms, that chuppah became a place where you could have the sacred and the holy right there where you were, wherever you were. And so what we'd like to do today is have 4 volunteers, 2 men and 2 women, to come up and get these poles and put this beautiful chuppah on these poles. We have 2 men and 2 women. And while they're putting that together, what I'd like to do is have it be right here, and then we'll be singing Shalom and another beautiful song that's about how beautiful it is to come together in community, 2 Hebrew songs. While we're coming forward, and I want you to come from 2 lines, sort of, this side, and then you'll be coming together and you'll meet under the chuppah. And you'll bow to whoever that person is that is coming from the other direction in a namaste bow, just greeting them under the sacred space. Just to acknowledge in a beautiful way that we're meeting under the holy canopy and holy ground. And then after you move through, go out and form the big circle, so it'll be a flow up and in and then out to get into the big circle, okay?
Yeah. You want 2 lines?
Yes, so 2 lines, one on that side and one on this side.
So it said that when you come under the chuppah, your prayers and your blessings are under this vortex that goes right to the ear of the great ear that listens, right? The eye that sees. So when you're under and you meet each other and you bless each other with shalom or with love or whatever your blessing is in the silence, it's going straight through.
Can't see.
I know. Inema Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom.
Cross over like this when you come up. Meet and then go the opposite way.
Lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Peace to you, my friend. Peace to you, my friend. Oh, peace to you. Till we meet again. Till we meet again. Shalom. Shalom. Goodbye, good friend. Goodbye, good friend. I'll see you again. Goodbye, goodbye. Shalom, Chaverim. Shalom, Chaverim. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you again. I'll see you again. Shalom, shalom. Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom. Yay, 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 Goodbye, good friend, goodbye, good friend, goodbye, goodbye. I'll see you again, I'll see you again. Goodbye, goodbye. Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom.
Thank you to those for holding the huppah, and you can bring the 4 poles together in the center and bring the huppah down. And you can lay it back here. And just leave it.
So in Hebrew you say lahitraot when you say goodbye to someone, and it's I'll see you again. It's a beautiful sentiment.
That was beautiful.
So beautiful to recover.
Thank you for doing that. It's beautiful to behold. So we're here for a reason. We've got work to do together. We've created a beautiful thing here, and may it be a blessing to our community, our families, all sentient beings. Here's a final song to go out with. It's a blessing on your day that'll bring in your hearts as you go.
When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right. Please close your eyes and think of me. To brighten up even your darkest night. You're just all of my days, and you know wherever I am, I'm calling, yes, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. If the sky above you was full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together. All my days out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You're just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Well, ain't it good to know that you've got a friend? People can be so cold. They'll hurt you, yes, and desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Oh, baby, don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'm calling to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. Sing it to the person next to you. You've got a friend.